Wow, what a big room. Bonjour. Are you enjoying today? Yeah? A bit sleepy. Okay, now you will have a great session. Joe Tsai from Alibaba with Christophe Jacubizine from Les Echos. As you know, VivaTech is a worldwide platform, and we are pleased to welcome more than 170 countries. And when you walk through the alleys, you will see a lot of pavilions from countries and a lot of nationalities. We hear a lot about our friends from the US, from Europe, of course, but too often we tend to forget the other half of the world, and that's why our next guest is here. He co-founded Alibaba. People do not know very well his name, but they will remember forever because he has helped transforming Alibaba, and Alibaba has created Qwen, and I'm sure that you don't know, but Qwen is the most widely used open source model in the world. The most widely open source AI model. It's not ChatGPT, it's not Claude, it is Qwen. And Alibaba released its latest version of Qwen a few months ago, and we are pleased to welcome someone who has been at the helm of the company since its inception, and he was the man behind the open source of AI. So please welcome very warmly Christophe Jacubizine from Les Echos, and a big round of applause for Joe Tsai, chairman and co-founder of Alibaba. Joe, welcome. Christophe, floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you to be here. We are very pleased to, as Maurice said, to welcome Joe Tsai, the co-founder and chairman of Alibaba. Alibaba went through many revolutions, and of course we'll speak about the last one, about the open source LLM model. But first, can we talk about your history? Because many people in France still think you are a marketplace, B2B, B2C. We know AI Express here. I know you are the largest marketplace in China. So could you tell us more about the evolution of your company, of your group?
Yeah, thanks, Christophe. Maurice, it's great to be here. So Alibaba started in 1999 as a B2B marketplace. And at the time, the business idea was very simple. We put these small Chinese manufacturers and trading companies online to sell to the whole world wholesale. So that kind of was on the cusp of China entering the WTO, so the export business was about to boom. And then we got into the consumer B2C business and launched a website called Taobao, and which today is the largest consumer e-commerce business in China.
How many customers?
We serve 820 million Chinese consumers. And by the way, this platform helps European companies and brands to sell 30 billion euros to Chinese consumers every year. So you would say that Alibaba is quite important for European companies doing business around the world. But we went big into AI and cloud. And this is actually, it's quite a long history. We've been investing in cloud technology since 17 years ago. And that's because of necessity. We were seeing that we were managing so much data from our e-commerce business and transactions on a daily basis that if we continue to be dependent on other people's technology like database and storage technology from others, we would end up giving all of our profits to the technology providers. And hence, there was an effort to develop our own proprietary technology to manage all the data, all right? And that's when our cloud business was born. Basically, we ate our own dog food before we launched the business to offer that service to third-party customers. But I think that's sort of from the micro perspective. From a macro perspective, we're all in on AI. It's actually, the logic is very simple. AI is today, if you ask me, how big is the market? What is the demand? What is the TAM, total addressable market? I would tell you that it's much, much bigger than anybody's IT budgets. It's much, much bigger than the software market. Because what is AI? AI is producing units of human intelligence and human productivity. And if you look at global GDP, over $100 trillion of GDP, at least half of that, $50 trillion is about human productivity and human intelligence. And that is the TAM of AI, and that's why we're all in on AI.
So you think AI will really make us have a higher productivity? Because we just had, like 1 hour ago, a roundtable where we were questioning that. People are investing a lot, but they don't see the results yet.
They don't see the results yet. I think a lot of corporate CEOs will tell you that their engineers are burning a lot of tokens, cost goes up. But I would say we're at the cusp of real productivity gains. Right now, a lot of people are experimenting. And there are definitely, like we see it in our company, our own engineers, there are super users that use the coding tool, for example. And they are not just doing their work that's within their domain, but they're also experimenting with other stuff. Because when you give engineers toys, they will always play with it more than, and they didn't realize that the company is actually paying for it, right? So this is what's happening right now. But I think what I truly believe, this is really a belief of whether, production of artificial units of intelligence will be able to add value to human intelligence. And it's like religion. I don't want to convince all of you that that's going to happen, but we believe that that's going to happen.
So if we go back to the Alibaba evolution, in which layer of AI do you invest most? Is it infrastructure, models, cloud services?
So we are in at least 4 layers of AI. At the bottom, we're not involved in energy because in the China context, energy is actually very efficient, less expensive, and the Chinese government has invested over the last 15 years in the national grid that makes energy delivery, production and delivery very, very efficient to all the users. But we are from the bottom, we're involved in chips, infrastructure in terms of our cloud business, and also the model. We have, as Maurice very kindly pointed out, that our Qwen model is actually one of the most popular open source models in the world. And then at the application layer, we have an e-commerce ecosystem. We have an ecosystem for online shopping, grocery delivery, travel, maps, and all of that, where we can infuse and deploy AI for our users. So we're involved in all those stacks of technology. And we think that there's huge benefits to the full stack approach, as opposed to just taking one layer of the stack. Because I think over time, nobody can tell you right now where the value will accrue. Which part of the stack? Is it in chips? Is it in cloud? Or is it in the model? Right now, the model companies, the pure model companies are very hot. They seem to accrue a lot of the value. But over time, that may not be the case. So having an integrated approach of being involved in the full stack makes a lot of sense to us, and that's our core strategy.
That's very interesting. You're right, we don't really know where the value will be, but when you see the investment in infrastructure for AI, do you think there is kind of bubble there? Do we have all those needs to make the model work? Because some models are more efficient than others, and they need less capacity than others. So what about that?
I don't think so. I mean, the numbers really are quite astounding because if you just look at the American hyperscalers, the 4 or 5 companies combined will invest over $800 billion of CAPEX, and next year it's going to go to over $1 trillion. It's eye-popping type of CAPEX investment, and I think it's natural that people will ask whether there's going to be overcapacity. But again, like I said, we're trying to tackle a total addressable market of $50 trillion US. And that's why we're optimistic. And in the China context, we're actually very underinvested in infrastructure and in the supply chain of AI. And so it actually behooves all the companies in China to step up their investment. Obviously, we're not investing at the same level as some of the American hyperscalers, but it is still very, very substantial.
Why don't you?
Oh, well, you know, sometimes you're limited by your capital. You're limited by the free cash flow that you're generating. And the lucky thing is Alibaba is one of the very few companies that actually has a core business, which is e-commerce. We generate $25 billion of free cash flow every year from our e-commerce business that can fuel our investments in AI. So we're actually one of the better positioned companies out there.
I think today your business in marketplace is still 85% of your turnover?
Yeah, it is still 80+% of our revenues in the e-commerce marketplace. We're very lucky that produces the cash flow that allows us to make future investments.
To invest in AI and cloud business.
Yes, absolutely.
What about your Maurice mentioned the Qwen offer and the Qwen model? What because it's open source now, so
yeah.
What kind of customer and you can have and you can help with that?
Well, I thought Maurice was too charitable in crediting me as the behind the open source movement. That's totally untrue. I would say that our colleagues at Alibaba have worked last several years in pushing the open source movement in these frontier models and to a high degree of success. And we're continuing to do that. What's the significance of open source? So I've been spending the last couple of weeks in Europe. And as I talk to European companies and CEOs and scientists, people in Europe, one of the biggest key words here is sovereignty. But what is sovereignty? If you ask 10 Europeans about what sovereignty means, you'll get 12 different answers. And, but to me, they mean basically 2 things. One is technology independence. They are all worried about the kill switch, that being reliant on some other country's technology, they could shut off the kill switch. We just saw a very live example of that in the recent days.
With Anthropic.
Yeah,
the last model
with
of
Fable,
Anthropic.
right? Yeah. And the second is data privacy. People wanted to be able to use AI, use technology with data that's proprietary to them within their own environment, and hence build up the firewall to protect their own data. I think open source solves both problems because it is basically a free piece of software that you can download into your data center. You can download the Qwen model in your own notebook computer, for example, and that's completely independent from the original maker. So if you use our Qwen open source model, it will have nothing to do with Alibaba. I mean, we have to figure out how we charge for it, but we can't. So that's number one, that's independence. What's important is you can take the open source model and then you could take your own data and train it, further train it, fine tune it, do post-training of the model, and keep all your entire data private within your own firewalls. And I think that's a really, really important point for companies in Europe to recognize that open source is actually one, I'm not saying it's the panacea, it's not the only approach, it's one of the approaches to achieve some degree of sovereignty. And today, the open source movement is actually driven by Chinese companies. All the American players have a closed source their model, so they want you to use their models through an API, and you have no idea where your data is going. When you're chatting with a chatbot, all of your most private questions and your confessions go into some pool where they use that to further train their model. So you have no idea where that's going.
But Joy, to be honest, Europe sovereignty is a very great concern today, and I think we just realize how dependent we can be from the US or from China, from the industry, for instance. So, I agree with the open the open model, etc. But still, we can be worried there is bypass for the Chinese company to one day if they want to cut the access or to be able to stop the model to function. How can we trust China because we were disappointed by the US in the last days, but we could be also by China. I mean, it's a big risk for Europe.
Yeah, you can't. That's the short answer, because you cannot be reliant on a third-party government to say that they won't do something that's detrimental to you. But here's the thing. Right now, all of your eggs are in one basket. Why not get a second basket to put your eggs in two baskets? Even though Europe, in the long term, may develop their own basket, but at least now you have two baskets to put your eggs in.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe you can give example of how you work with the German company like BMW. You help them, or Siemens in Germany. What was the base of the collaboration and cooperation you did with them?
Yeah, so these German manufacturing businesses are absolutely fascinating. They're all clients of ours, Alibaba Cloud in China, in their Chinese operations. And we work with them in the manufacturing context in terms of design, testing, quality control. And we think that this is, in the future, is going to be a very interesting segment, because today, most of the application in AI, you have ChatGPT, that's consumer. You have like Claude Code, that's focused on coding and the knowledge worker space. But in the future, these manufacturing businesses are very valuable because they will have very valuable data that's proprietary to them in the manufacturing process. And that data is very, very good, high-quality data that you can use to train your own model to improve your manufacturing process. And this is the approach that we're taking with these companies. You mentioned BMW, Siemens. We also have worked with Bosch. Last week, I was at the Bosch Connect World Conference. We work with them because they are using AI to develop their assisted driving, autonomous driving, and that requires a lot of compute. There's a lot of very interesting going on in the manufacturing sector.
So if I understand you consider the ban on Anthropic class model by the US an opportunity for you and your model to be adopted by other European customers?
Our model?
Yeah, your model, yeah.
There's two approaches to it. One is they could just take our open source model, and then they will deploy that into their own infrastructure if they have their own data center, whatever. And but our infrastructure is developed hand in glove with the model, so we actually have one of the most efficient infra to help people train their models. And so if they use our open source model, they could also buy compute from us, right? So that's a very symbiotic relationship between the model and infra. That's one approach. Another approach is there are now emerging a number of companies that develop these inferencing platforms that offer people a choice of models, different kind. You don't have to use Qwen. You could use somebody else's. They also can access closed source models as long as there's an agreement between the model maker and the inferencing platform to open up the gates to the weights in a private context. And then customers can go on go onto these inferencing platforms to use the models.
I have a more philosophical question about your vision of future of AI, LLM, balance between humans and agents, and even humanity. How do you see the next 10 years of the humanity?
So today I had a talk with the Alibaba Paris office colleagues. It's located, we just moved to a new office. It's located in, I think, the second or third floor of a beautiful building. And I looked out the window, there's a cafe. And people are sitting in the cafe outdoors because the weather is pretty nice, having a great time. And I point to them and I tell my colleagues, this is the future of AI. You think they may be drinking coffee and having a good time, not doing anything, not being productive. But the reality is they have deployed agents that are doing the work. So when you're going to sleep, you still have agents working for you. Yeah. So think about the productivity gains. But if 24/7, you can actually have somebody else work for you.
So right? you have the same philosophy that the people from the Silicon Valley, you think that many people won't work and we will make the agent and robots work for them?
Well, I think it'll definitely free up people's time to enjoy life, to enjoy their family, to do more entertainment. This is why I'm very big on live entertainment. I mean, when people spend less time in the office, where do they want to go? They don't want to just sit at home. They want to go to concerts. They want to go to football matches. They want to go to basketball games.
But don't tell that to French people because they will want to work less.
Well, a lot of them are focused on the World Cup right now. So,
I think you Chinese work a lot. Huh? When you look at the Chinese engineer, they have lots of working hours, even with agent, even with AI.
There will always be people that will work a lot more than others, but I think most of us want to be able to enjoy life a little bit, want to be able to spend time with our family more.
I think you're very a big fan of the basket Brooklyn Nets and even the Liberty New York supporter. Yeah. I think you even support a player I even don't know, lacrosse. What about Soccer World Cup? Are you enjoying the soccer?
Well, first of all, about basketball, I went to the French League Championship game last night between Paris and Monaco. This is a second game of the 5-game series. And I thought it was very interesting. And then I realized that our women's basketball team, the New York Liberty, have 3 French players. 3 players that play for the French national team. And then we have, on the men's, Brooklyn Nets have 1 French player. So there's a lot of very big French connection. I think France is probably the most important non-American influence in the NBA and also in the WNBA today. So it's very interesting. So about the World Cup, I don't have a horse in this race. That's the problem. I think I just saw some social media that says there's a Chinese referee in the World Cup, and he is getting sponsorships. And I hope at some point China will have a strong team, but I think that development will take some time. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you. Thanks to you.
Thank you.